Dr. Kwabena Chumnyama, Member of Parliament for Brekomis, has joined us. How are you? And we're talking about GNPC early on, and he had initially made his first stake. Particularly, we have 3 members of Parliament who have sent this very case to court. They want to get stop the GNPC from going ahead as far as the procurement of that very loan until it's determined by the court in the meantime. What's your own take on the current case, and especially on the current region issue before even it was sent to court?
Okay, thank you, Roland, for having me here. And good morning to your viewers. I think because the case is in court, I wouldn't want to.
Yes, definitely.
Go much
but there are many issues that we can still talk about as far as the substantive is
I think, for instance, yesterday an issue came up on the floor of Parliament as regards a contract involving GNPC, where the issue of this loan, which is in court, actually came up, and there was a suggestion to the Speaker that because a part of the issue involving the loan is in court, it would be prudent for Parliament to stay proceedings on what we were doing yesterday coming at the back of what happened when the Merchant Bank and Fortis issue, we had a similar ruling from the Speaker. But surprisingly, the Speaker ruled that, in his opinion, what we were dealing with will not be affected by what will come out of the court. Whether it rules in favor or against the case, still there may be issues. So some of us were a bit surprised, because in the Fortis case, similar arguments were raised that looking at the case, the plaintiffs, what they actually sent to court, what Parliament wanted to do will not really affect the case in court. But the Speaker at that time ruled that he needed to wait for the court to finish. But this one, he said we can go ahead. Be that as it may, issues about accountability and how GNPC is using the resources of the state, which have been entrusted to them by virtue of our oil find, came up. And I think even the Speaker alluded to the fact that Parliament has to bring GNPC under a strict scrutiny so that we will be able to check them as to how they are handling the resources of the state. I mean, mind you, they are having all these monies just because Ghana discovered oil, and that per the arrangement, they are supposed to hold that money, the share of the people of Ghana, in trust on behalf of Ghana. It's not by virtue of any hard work, should I say, that GNPC as a corporate entity had done. But personally, I feel that they've not been fair to us. You know, there were issues of they having huge sums of money lying down idle, whilst the people of Ghana struggle to look for monies with huge interest on them. I don't understand why we are having some money hiding somewhere. We are not using the money. What is supposed to be used for has not, accrued. And then the same people of Ghana will now have to go and look for loans with interest and all these things. So I believe that it's high time Parliament of Ghana, for that matter, the whole state of Ghana, really brings GNPC under serious check. Because it's like, let's say, Get Fund Secretariat, which has been given 2.5% Get Fund to hold in trust for the people of Ghana, and then they begin to, appropriate their, so as if they work.
But it's not the same in this very instance. According to the regulation that establishes and also details the operations of GNPC, and this is rooted in the regulations of our country, as far as in trying to get some level of capital in whatever way from the market, they're supposed, I mean, that's my own interpretation of what, they're supposed to just get approval from the finance minister. And thereafter, the finance minister, of course, we know logically, gets approvals or whatever the finance minister wants for the ministry before Parliament. We do understand all that. But the GNPC, as far as it is concerned, is operating within the remits of the law.
You've just hit the nail right on the head, because the people of Ghana will have to give approval for their resources to be used. And they do that through the Parliament of Ghana. Yes, that is how come the finance minister will come to Parliament, present the budget for the year, and then he gets approval. We are going to pass the Appropriation Act by the end of this week, and that will give the finance minister the power to actually spend our money. That's how come even within the year, if he realizes that he needs to spend more, he has to come back to Parliament through a supplementary budget. In the budget, the minister even mentioned this loan. It shows that he himself recognized that no money can be used by the state without taking approval from Parliament. So we are really surprised that, I mean, what are they going to lose? Do they have something to hide that they want the people of Ghana to know? That's how come they want to hide behind this old law which was passed before we had democracy. At that time, there was no Parliament. And we know that since the Constitution came into being, some of these things have changed. But just as I said earlier, because it's in court, we are hoping to see what the court will say. But I feel that the people of Ghana must dictate how their monies are spent. And personally, I feel that GNPC has not been fair to the people of Ghana. They are spending the money as if they have worked and generated resources or surpluses. You can't behave that way. We
but it's been entrusted to them. It's on their books.
It's a trust. I mean, just like SNIT, I'm not sure SNIT can just dissipate our SNIT benefit because they are supposed to, you know, keep the money. NHIA cannot do the same. So why should GNPC be different? We all know what they did during the World Cup. I mean, we don't want to be too petty, but you can't really spend money when you don't have it. Somebody gives you money to keep for him or her, and then you want to spend the money more than that person. So you and that guy who is now in charge of the money, we must be serious. Ghana needs a lot of resources. We don't have, we are very poor, and we are lucky we've gotten oil. The oil money should be a blessing. You heard the PIAC report that came out recently. You also saw some of the damning, you know, reports which were given. It is not helpful at all. An institution like PIAC does not even have money to pay for their rent. They are supposed to ensure that the monies from the oil are kept well. Meanwhile, GNPC is now, I mean, living like an Arabian night in Ghana. I think that Parliament must really, really rise up. And the executive too that directly supervises GNPC must act. They should not be allowed to live differently in Ghana. We are all Ghanaians. Everybody should be made to feel the difficulties in the state. And I guess it should be extended to even how they contract their loans. Parliament must supervise the activities through bringing the loan to the floor to be debated. Whatever happens, you just said that sometimes the majority will have their way. But at least before that happens, people are allowed to vent their opinions on it. And it allows Ghanaians to really understand what is happening. And it's good for democracy.
Well, Theophilus, when this came up, citations were made for using GAPOA. There's the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority as an example. But the difference is the regulation that tends to establish the two, or any other public corporation, so to speak, as enshrined in the regulations or the laws we have in our country. At what point do we say that when an entity like GNPC, which is indeed performing specialized service, and there's a reason why that the GNPC law was also created, to give it the leverage to be able to have hands-on
resources
to undertake its investment and works. Now, at the end of the day, when the investments go well, the returns benefits the people of the country, and the people of the country also are supposed to be getting their responsibility from the government of the day. And so, well, whilst there's that level of independence, there's still that level of inference where we all need to be accountable to each other in many respects. How do we make sure that it doesn't occur again?
For now, the case is in court.
Okay.
And so it is the judiciary that are now going to, their opinion on the issue is what
it's critical in this
we are going to accept.
So we're waiting for that very opinion.
Exactly.
As far as we're concerned.
For now, there's nothing we can do.
Okay.
But as you rightly said, they are basing their argument not in a vacuum, but a statute or a law that has been made for them. Whether the law is an ancient law, well, for them, it is something guiding whatever they are doing. But it is up to the Supreme Court to say that looking at so and so and so and so, you are right or you are wrong. So for now, let us allow the Supreme Court to come out with the verdict, and then that will be the direction for us as a people. So it is good that the 3 members of Parliament have done what they should do as members of Parliament to make sure that the law is actually interpreted for the benefit of the entire people.
Okay.
And you see, Parliament could have also done something. For me, I believe.
Because I was asking you, couldn't you, as a body, have taken a position?
You see, when issues go to court, and then you come to the House for that issue to be looked into,
or related issues,
to be looked into, it creates a problem.
Some level of
mistrust.
Okay.
Because for me, the first time the issue, I said, oh,
this one is it's a straightforward issue.
We could have brought it on the floor of the House to debate the issue, for us to take a position. Then when people are not satisfied, then you go to court. But once the issue has been sent to court and the judiciary is now on the issue, even if it comes back to the House, you have little to do. Because people have gone to court for interpretation. So,
but that's just until recently. When the matter came up, Dr. Chumnyama, do you think the posture of the majority also did not help? Or so far you think that it's been a bipartisan, or one side is expressing a bipartisan spirit in silence?
I wouldn't want to go into that because I think GNPC was just bypassing Parliament as an institution to do their own thing. And we didn't want the situation whereby I'm sure those who sent a case to court really thought about it. If you just wait and then you want to bring it to the floor of the House, by the time you are even through, they might have even gone through, signed the contract. And when even it becomes necessary for it to come to Parliament and then there are issues, the difficulty will affect GNPC and ultimately Ghana. So then you needed to do something to preempt the steps that GNPC was taking. That's how come they went to court, because they had already decided that once they've gotten the approval from Ministry of Finance with an supposedly advice from the Attorney General Department, Parliament really doesn't come in. So they were going ahead to finish the negotiation, then sign the contract. So this step was taken supposedly to try and truncate what they were doing to ensure that the right reasons are given by the court. And then if the court now gives the green light that this thing has to come to the floor of the House, I'm not sure Parliament will in any way try and, prevent GNPC from undertaking a good investment, if you want to say. But at least it will enable all of us to actually analyze the investment to see whether it will be in the interest of the people of Ghana or not. Ultimately, that is our interest. We want to ensure that GNPC become a viable entity to be able to explore for oil and then to actually fetch the oil so that Ghana will not be having these 13%, 10% carried interest, but at least we will actually have our own resources to harvest our oil and then make, if almost 100% interest in our oil. That would be good for Ghana. And we are expecting GNPC to grow over the years to be able to do that. But I'm afraid if Ghanaians do not actually input into how they go about their business, maybe we may not get what we are looking for ultimately.
Okay. There's a raging issue also about GNPC in which the Ministry of Energy issued a statement that the GNPC had taken over the overall management and daily administrative activities and technical, really, operational activities of the Ghana Gas Company in the operation of Tuabo and the other relevant activities it undertakes. But following that, the board chairman of the Ghana Gas Company, Professor Kwesi Botwe, also said, really, that was not the truth and hasn't happened in any way. How can this very confusion be sorted out? Or how did we even get here in the first place?
Well, per what I have heard, I believe that maybe communication was not complete, was not well done. If you look at the issues at stake, the Ghana Gas Company is not in disagreement that GNPC shouldn't take over whatever assets they need to take over. But if you listen to the board chairman's complaints or the challenges that he had, if the ministry has appointed a transaction advisor to negotiate or advise us to processes for the takeover, the board of the Ghana Gas Company also represents government's interest. And anything that goes wrong in terms of Ghana Gas, the board chairman will be held responsible. And so therefore, I believe that if there is a communication that has to be done for certain transactions to take place, it would have been best done by informing the board, or whoever has been mandated to do the negotiation should have done the communication very well, so that at the end of the day, both parties will be in an agreement. But looking at what we are being told now, it looks as if the transaction advisor did his own thing. You see, without the knowledge of the Ghana Gas Company board.
How can it be possible?
And then if that is the issue, definitely, then they will be in the dark. You see? So it is up to, this is not an issue that we need to drag. They should go back to the drawing board and then sit down and then...
Okay. It could be an issue because of the personalities involved and the caliber of the personalities involved. Now, a statement was issued by the board chairman, or a statement was issued, signed by the board chairman. And this is what it said they were yet to receive any written indication from either the Minister of Energy or Finance on the takeover decision and the way forward, as the company prepared to meet with the transaction advisor, the PwC. We're talking about PricewaterhouseCoopers. Now, is this growing into a turf war or something of the sort? And I raise the issue of the personalities involved. We have Professor Kwesi Boatwell, who's been a known person, and then we also have the ministry at one side, etc.
Well, Roland, I mean, this thing, I heard this for the first time in the budget statement when the minister presented it to Parliament. So I thought it was a strategic decision that was going to be taken, and the budget was for 2015. So, you know, maybe it is something that the government is planning to do. So, I mean, I didn't know that it was something that is already
in effect,
almost, you know, a done deal, to the extent that we are having this banter with the board chairman, who, as you said, is a seasoned personality we all respect very much. So I really do not know why, because it's like both entities are within the same ministry. So how come there is this communication gap? Is it that somebody is trying to do something that somebody is not in support of? So maybe let me just sidestep him or her. The government has the mandate to rationalize some of these, because they are all state-owned companies. So whatever they think will be in the interest of the people, they have the mandate to do. But I believe that they have to do it with finesse to ensure that we don't have some of these seeming challenges. We all know what Ghana Gas Company has gone through over the years, not having been able to, you know, meet their own deadlines. We've been told that now they've started, you know, getting the gas transferring it to the VRE people. So let's hope. I mean, to me, is it the time to try and, it's not going to create leadership problems over there? Who is in charge? Wouldn't it affect the smooth operation of the company?
So to you, it's unnecessary?
I wouldn't want to categorically say that. I think that at this crucial stage of transition in Ghana Gas, if they might have tread cautiously, make sure the transition is done very well. The people involved are supposed to be professionals. So I expect that they will understand corporate governance and will be able to go through this transition very well. But to have the chairman come out with a statement, I'm not sure if things have not gone to the highest level. He would have brought this statement. So let the Minister of Energy and then maybe the Finance Minister, they should put their heads together and try and resolve it amicably, so that the company will be able to really work well and then help. My other point is, are we not making GNPC so big, so powerful? Wouldn't we live to regret it one day, that you have a very big company that will even be bigger than the state. It's just a question maybe I'm putting up. Maybe I need some education.
Because I was just about to ask, essentially, what would be the pros and cons of not necessarily burdening GNPC, but also trying to merge or give oversight responsibility of the operations of the gas enclave and the assets for GNPC?
Well, in terms of expertise, I do acknowledge that GNPC has that human resource. They've been in this business since the inception, and they've done so many exploratory activities and so on and so forth. So when we talk of human resource, GNPC have the men to undertake any project involving our petrochemical industry. For that one, we cannot take it away from them. But whatever we do, procedures must be followed. And once we've given authority to institutions to formulate policies and so on and so forth, when there is the need for changes to be done, we need to ensure that communication is done properly. Because if I'm the board chairman or we are board members, and government has indicated that he wants to do this, at least we expect that letters will be sent to the board to inform the board officially, because we can't work in a vacuum. This is a policy of government. So you need to write to the board, inform the board as to the policy direction. And then based on that policy direction, board members will also sit down and then look at the policy directives and then inform those that they oversee. But when that is not done, and then we take it that it is the same ministry that is doing its work, then it means somebody is being sidestepped. And truly, if I'm the board chairman, I will not allow that to go past me. No. Because when that happens, it means we have not done our work. So I think what is happening, what Dr. Kwesi Botwe is saying is very legitimate. If those letters have not been sent to the board to formally inform them, it is the proper thing to do, so that they can also have that opportunity to interact with the transaction advisor that government has been able to select to handle the issue. Because their problem is that you need to inform us so that we can also.
I mean, for the letter to be issued, it means that the transaction advisor may have completed its work.
That's what it's trying.
Let's look at the pros and cons in your view.
Personally, I wouldn't want to pretend I have a lot of expertise in that area. But with my little experience in management, I guess the vision we have for GNPC is a big one. We want them to win themselves to the stage where they can do exploration and then actually, mine the oil like Tallow is doing now. It's a very huge thing, and I think we have a long way to go. So I would have thought that maybe we wouldn't want to add this, because we are having a lot of gas. This gas company, after the Jubilee area, I think the Tain area too is coming in. I was thinking that maybe once we separate them that way, it will allow for checks and balances. This person will mine the gas. This guy will take it, refine it, and also, give it to the power producers. At least everybody will have his area of speciality, and then it will enable for, development of better expertise and all that. But I may not really be privy to the mindset that the government is having now in trying to bring all of them under one umbrella, GNPC. But I'm hoping that it is all going to help for, better resource, because Ghanaians expect the best from GNPC and ultimately the oil sector. But if you ask me, with my layman's, I was thinking that it would be better we allow them to exist separately to ensure that each can have a check on the other, and then the Ministry of Energy ultimately will be able to actually supervise both of them very well. But the government thinks putting them under one management. But we were told, I learned yesterday that they are saying the CEO will not be affected and all that of Ghana.
What does it mean?
I don't know. One news item yesterday that even with this, takeover, the CEO was still. So I don't know how the structure will be. Let's wait
Perhaps,
and see. Maybe it's
there'll still be
days
some
yet.
level of top management function. As far as the organogram is concerned,
I wouldn't want to also think that maybe the board chairman and his board are also
fighting for survival.
Who knows?
Organizational politics is always interesting.
Maybe with the new thing, this board may not exist anymore.
Oh,
so
definitely.
Maybe somebody might have worked so hard to get this thing. The initial stage of every enterprise is the most difficult, and they've managed to go through this nicely. The thing is now coming to, kickstart proper business. And somebody is taking
it's an interesting issue, though. We'll see how it goes and how the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Energy particularly is able to resolve this. Usually, you're likely to have the chief of staff also coming in to resolve it from the presidency. So we hope that this comes to an amicable end. And that will wait for our discussions on AM Talk this morning. And I've had in the studio Theophilus Tetechai, Member of Parliament for Ablekuma Central, and also Member of Parliament for Brekum East, Dr. Kwabena Chum Nyama. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen. I hope to again have you sometime in the studio to have interesting discussions. We're taking a break. When we come back, we'll have a lot more for you.